The super high level one that Brendan Gregg likes to say is eBPF is superpowers for Linux. So it enabled us to do things that weren't possible before. And then going down one level from that, we like to say what JavaScript is to the browser, eBPF is for Linux and other operating systems now too. And so like, to break down that analogy, if you think about what JavaScript brought to the browser, is like suddenly you're going from these static web pages where you're just like consuming information into suddenly like you have a web page that's interactive. They have clickable elements. Things will change as you interact with the web page. And that's essentially what eBPF allows you to do to the Linux kernel too, is like suddenly you can make it interactive. You can add programs on the fly. You can add new functionality on the fly. You can change based on user input. And so it's like letting you change how things are happening on the fly to introduce new functionality and add programmability into it. And then going down one more level, I think it's what eBPF is allowing us to do is to massively speed up the innovation cycle in the Linux kernel. Because if you're not super familiar with like how the Linux kernel works, it's a 30-year-old technology. There's a lot of history behind how it's been built and what's been built into it. And it's deployed in literally billions of devices and servers and other things across the globe. So you need to have predictable innovation cycles so that you don't break these billions of users, billions of devices. And so what that kind of does is it slows down how fast you can change things. And so that's, I think, why a lot of people started to see operating systems or Linux starting to be a little bit boring. It's if you want to bring a change to the Linux kernel, first you have to convince the whole like Linux kernel community that it's like good for everybody. And then you need to merge it into like upstream, which may take a year. And then it gets to long, like an LTS distribution that you're actually running in production. So you have something from idea to actually getting it in production. It could be something like 5 years. That really slows down what's possible. And so suddenly with eBPF, what you're able to do is to add new functionality on the fly into the Linux kernel. So like the example Brendan Gregg likes to give is, so he was at Netflix, now he's at Intel. He's saying their customers are asking questions like, how does this functionality work? How is this affecting the performance of our systems? And rather than trying to implement something in the Linux kernel, recompiling it, reloading it, and doing all of that, what he's able to do now is write an eBPF program, install it like on the fly, answer the customer's questions before the end of the meeting. So suddenly, instead of this 5-year innovation cycle, you can suddenly get the data that you want in just minutes, like as fast as you can program the thing, load it into your system, and then find out the information. And so going from years down to days, weeks, or even months, like that's a totally different way of being able to innovate.